week. Can't believe it's Thursday. It's flown past already, and we've had some really great sessions so far, all focused around engagement and database engagement. So on Monday, we kicked off with the benefits of an engaged and active database, talking about measuring how engaged your database is and the steps that you can then take to measure it so that you can put some plans in to drive engagement from the core, reducing the cost per acquisition, cost per placement even, and cost per application. Tuesday, Alex took us through how to nurture candidate loyalty and fostering loyalty amongst your database, the steps you have to take to drive regular contact, personalisation, etc. Then yesterday, we had David from our outreach team at Firefish who spoke on getting rich information from candidates. So what you need to do to really personalise that communication and find the information that will allow you to put the right roles in front of the right candidates. And then this morning, I'm joined by Paul. Paul, how are you? Can you hear me, Paul? I think you're on mute possibly somewhere. No. Strange. Might need it without the headphones. We've had one or two technical difficulties here this morning. No, still can't hear you, unfortunately. No. Well, Paul's getting sorted out there anyway. Paul is going to chat us through today on how to manage a candidate pipeline. To give a bit of background on Paul, he's been a member of our sales team at Firefish for the last 3 years. Previous to that, Paul was a recruiter for 5 years for all his sins. So this morning's plan is Paul's going to take us through how to manage a candidate pipeline, talking about database management, regular communication, prioritisation of the right candidates to ensure that you're moving the right people through so that time to fill is reducing, measuring engagement and the documentation that you should be keeping in terms of compliance. So let's just get over a couple of technical difficulties here. Still can't hear you, unfortunately, mate. And then we will get things underway.
It's picking up my microphone.
No, I can hear you now.
Oh, you can hear me? Right, okay.
I can hear you now. So I'll pass over to you then, Paul, and you can get us underway.
No problem at all. So yeah, today I'm going to look at how to manage a candidate pipeline. So candidate pipeline is going to allow us to stay ahead of the game by allowing you to kind of access top quality talent that allows you to build a strong talent pool that you can turn to help fill a role. Having a strong candidate pipeline in recruitment is often something that gets forgotten about by recruiters, as most recruiters are very reactive and tend to turn to new candidates to fill roles rather than being able to rely on candidates that are in our pipeline that we've hopefully built up a relationship with. So how do we manage, obviously, that candidate pipeline side of things? So the first thing that we're going to look at is database management and implementation of a CRM. So CRM, or Candidate Relationship Manager, as it says on the tin, is what's going to help us to manage these relationships. So your CRM will help you build and maintain the relationships with large pools of candidates and help to kind of streamline the recruitment process. It's going to allow you that one centralized place for you to store all the info you need to help manage and engage with your pipeline. Next, we've got updating and maintaining candidate info. So as it says on the GIF, rich information is king. So we need to be continuing updating and maintaining the candidate info inside of our CRM, as this is the only way that we're really going to know what's happening with the candidates and also keeping everything up to date. This can be anything from recording your latest call with a candidate or updating their job history or types of jobs that they're looking for. We used to have a saying in recruitment that if it's not on the CRM, it didn't happen. And that is key. If you're not updating the CRM with all that rich information that's going to help you do your job further down the line, then it's no good. All you're doing is putting information into something and it's just going to become a filing cabinet of candidates and clients. We then need to when we then need to access the data, we're looking to segment that data. So if a potential role comes on that we need filled, it's really important that we can find the candidate or whatever info that we need on the candidate, allowing us to target the candidate with the correct skill set. So you need to be able to search on skills, locations, specializations, documentation to make it easier for you to extract that information out of the CRM or the database when you actually need it. We then move on to kind of regular communications with your pipeline. So this is what's going to make you stand out from the crowd in a market where the candidate is king. Regular communication will help set you apart from most other recruiters who really only start communicating with candidates once they think they're right for a role. We want to enhance that candidate experience, so that honest and transparent communication that's done regularly is going to help that candidate have a good experience and walk away with whatever it is, whether you've placed them, whether you've not placed them, they are going to be able to walk away and say that they have been treated properly. We then want to update every step of the way. So update them on the status of their applications, interviews, offers, or if they're in the process of going for a job, you're going to keep them in the loop. But if you're just wanting to keep them abreast of what's happening in the market, if they're a passive candidate and potentially looking at opportunities, you want to keep that regular communication up with your pipeline so that you are able to go to them when you've got a role that suits their skill set. And then build trust and credibility. So by updating them, when you've agreed to update them as well, so if you've told them that you're going to phone them back Monday of next week, then you phone them back Monday of next week. But that helps to build trust and credibility. And later down the line, once you've built up that trust and credibility, that helps with things like exclusivity on the candidate, stop them going to any other agencies because they're happy with dealing with yourself, or referrals, because if you've treated that person correctly, then chances are when one of their friends, colleagues, whatever else is looking for a job, then they're going to put them in touch with yourself. We then want to look at documentation and record keeping. So this is going to ensure that your candidates are compliant with GDPR and data protection regulations. We want to prioritize the right candidates, and very much like when you prioritize your jobs, you make a decision on what roles are fillable, how long it will take to fill the role, and decide the best roles for you to work on. The same will go for your candidates. So you want to be able to decipher who's the best candidates to work with, who's got all the required certifications, who's got the qualifications needed, who's got the best skill match for the role. And this allows you to start then prioritizing them and working with the right candidates. So again, you're not a busy fool, very much like when you're working roles. And then you want to document the interactions for future references. So start documenting all the interactions with your candidates, allowing you to access this for future reference. So you know what it was that you actually spoke to them about, what the email previously was about, so that you are able to continue that moving forward. And then probably the biggest one, long-term relationship building. I think this is what sets good recruiters apart from being able to build relationships. So very much like you build relationships with your clients, a lot of people or a lot of recruiters tend to forget the building relationships with candidate part. They just think that they'll go to a candidate when they've got a role on, and they're happy to continue to foster that relationship with clients. What we want to do is kind of nurture the candidates beyond the placement. So stay in contact with any candidates you've placed to help nurture that relationship, as this may help towards referrals again, or that candidate may be going into a hiring manager role, and by continuing to nurture that long-term relationship, it's only going to benefit you in the future. So they might have new role that they want to then go to, they're going to come back to you as their recruiter of choice, or they might start hiring for roles and look for you to start hiring for them. We want to provide personalized support. So not always just going to them with job opportunities, what's happening in the market. We want to give them some extra additional level of support. So whether that comes in the form of career guidance or inviting them to kind of industry-related networking events where they can network with like-minded people in their industry, you're just adding an extra layer to your service then in terms of managing and engaging that pipeline. You want to prepare for future touch points. So tell them while you'll be in contact with them, whether that be in a week's time or a month's time, so that they know that you'll be in touch. And you need to stick to it. That is the key. There's no point in you telling somebody that you're going to phone them in a week's time and you don't do it. All that that's going to do is just going to eradicate that trust that you have built up with them. Use your CRM to do things like to-do lists to help alert you to any candidate touch points that you need to be made. So use the systems that you've got in place to help you manage that, because use your diary, use what you've got in the CRM. And as much as possible, you want to keep your relationships personal, but we want to also make use of automations to help us kind of build that long-term relationship as well. So it may be things like job alerts. The system will match a skill set to the candidate's preferences. When you've got the live role on, it will send out that targeted email to let them know that we've got the new job on. As long as you're communicating that to your candidate, that the system is going to email you, or you're going to email them to let them know of new roles. And as long as you follow that up with the personal touch after that, then it's fine to make use of automation in terms of helping to build that long-term relationship. And then when we've done all this, we want to kind of measure how much engagement that you've actually had with your pipeline. So like anything we do in recruitment, we need to be able to measure success. So we need to be able to set benchmarks for success, and we can do this by utilizing KPIs to measure candidate engagement. So what calls have been made, what emails have been sent out. It helps you to manage things like obviously time to fill and different facets from within there. You then want to start including feedback from candidates and clients. So how have you managed the process? How good was the engagement or the communication that you had with the candidate? What was the right engagement? What was too much? Was it too little engagement? And then lastly, we want to continue to evaluate and adapt the strategy. So as it says, we need to know what's good and what's not working so well. Do we work on the things that aren't working so well, or do we start to strategize and move in a different direction? And thanks for joining me this morning. Campbell will be rounding off our takeover with an overview of how to benchmark yourself within your sector. So yeah, thank you very much for having me on this morning, guys.